I was using my left hand, then the men should be concerned, because apparently the myth is that if you use your left hand to make dumplings, they will marry you. So I'm using my right hand today because, you know, there are people here that's going to eat this meal. I don't want anybody following me home. All right? So a little water at a time. And you kind of knead and squeeze so it comes out nice and stiff. You need a little more water. And this is a sticky process, so for the young ladies that get the nails and stuff done, you probably want to make your dumplings before that nail appointment. There we go. So it's coming into a nice firm ball. I actually need a little more water, just a chink, so maybe not. I don't actually. So the cornmeal has given this dough a really nice yellow color, and it's also going to give it some texture as well. It's not going to be like a smooth, plain flour dumpling. And for the dumpling lovers out there, have no fear. This is not the only dumpling meal or kind of dumpling that we're going to make. We're going to have other types of meals, doing other types of dumplings, some dumpling combinations I came up with myself. Some I'm going to steal from my brother because he is the best dumpling maker in my family. And I sound out of breath because this is actually quite a task. So I'm going to get this out of the bowl. See how nice and stiff it is? So let me just put this away onto my clean counter. There's a little bit of dry flour here so that it doesn't stick. And people make dumplings into many different shapes, many different sizes. It's totally up to you how you want to serve your dumplings, what is easiest to eat. So I'm just getting it into a smooth bowl, and then we're gonna separate it. And this is pure old school here. Good, so this is a nice, see, it doesn't really roll around. It's not light and fluffy, it's nice and stiff. And I'm going to separate this into some balls like so. And I actually don't have a rolling pin today, so we're going to have to improvise a little. So I'm just going to use this can. You could use a ketchup bottle, which is really what we used to use long time anyway. So each of these balls I'm going to roll out, kind of circle here. Sometimes you can roll one big spread of the dumpling dough and you take a knife and you cut it into squares. That will work as well. This can is giving not so round, so I couldn't roll the whole dough, so we're gonna do and just cut. You can leave them big like this, which is fine, or you can do them smaller, but for today we're just going to do it like this. Not too much dry flour, because you don't want the water that you're going to be boiling these dumplings in to be too thick, and that flour is going to thicken up that water. There we go. So I know you can't smell it, but I can, and that sausage is cooking up really, really nice. It's going to be done in just a second. In the meantime, I do have a nice tall pot of water boiling up, waiting for these to be dropped in. My circles are not so circled today, but they will work. No one will notice, I'm sure. And these are just about, they're not very thin. See, they're not very thin. They're very kind of 1/4 inch-ish. I don't know if that's the right measurement, but it's close. When the water comes, bubble, 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 boil, then we add the dumplings in. And I'm going to tell you how you can tell when your dumplings are cooked. Now, if for some reason you make a little extra dumpling and you don't feel like you want to cook all of that, you can roll them out like this, put them into a container, and put them in the freezer. And then store them. So So we're just gonna cook these today. These I'm gonna store for a later time. So we're gonna head over to that pot of boiling water and drop them in. So before I drop these into the hot water, let me just check on my sawfish because I'm sure it's ready for my okras to go in. So bubbly and so good. Oh, smells great. Okay, so for me, I still need a little more sauce, and so I can make a little more sauce to it. Plus, when I add the okras, it's gonna thicken it up a little bit. So here we go. Nice and fresh. Once you add the okras, it's just about 3 minutes and then the sawfish will be done. So I'm making more sauce, a little more ketchup, and if you like it like this, you go from there. Right, so I'm not going to cover back this pot because what will happen is that it's just going to bubble up and flow all over the stove. So I'm going to leave this in open to continue to boil. Here, my sawfish smells so good. Good. So this is just about done, because even now, at this point, when you take the stove off and you cover this back, the steam is going to continue to melt everything.